So much for the Bills and Josh Allen being an MVP candidate. I'm not saying that. One bad game, especially one that's on Tuesday for the second time in like 70 years in the NFL's history, cannot change our viewpoint on the massive growth that Josh Allen has shown from his first year to his second year and from last year into this year being his third year. But last night, a team that hasn't been in their facility for 2 weeks, a team that had an outbreak of a virus that shut down the world inside of their facility, a team that everybody on earth bet against last night, and a team that everybody on earth was rooting against last night, the Tennessee Titans absolutely trample the Buffalo Bills. It was a nonstop throttling. The only negative that came from the Titans last night was that Tannehill almost blew out his ACL doing a finger roll celebration after he ran one in wide open. Not to talk about he threw a wide open touchdown with his foot still on the line of scrimmage that they didn't call back. Derrick Henry stiff-armed Josh Norman out of the stadium. I mean, there was a lot of big moments for the Tennessee Titans last night, but also not just for the Tennessee Titans, but for every NFL player that has ever said, does practice matter? Does practice even matter? Whenever I came into the NFL, Jim Caldwell was our head coach. Jim Caldwell came from the Tony Dungy regime, which was there beforehand, obviously. And we had an older team at the time. Obviously, Peyton Manning and the boys were the mainstay of the roster, but they were an older team. And all Jim Caldwell said every single week was, we want to be the freshest and the fastest team on Sunday. Freshest, fastest. That's all he cared about. So now, granted, Peyton ran the practices, and if Peyton wanted to redo a period or 10, we would do that. But it felt like our time on the field was not as long as it did become at certain different times whenever teams were trying to figure things out. The meeting room was paramount. It was like, hey, we're going to watch more film. We're going to be the freshest, fastest, and most prepared, I guess was the third one there. And for me, it didn't matter. I'm kicking the ball left or right, but you get what I'm saying. They watched more film. They went through more things mentally. They did walkthroughs at a different level. There was a lot of things about being the freshest and the fastest team. And I'm saying them because I literally just watched it happen because I didn't have to really do much to begin with. But that team, every single Sunday, was ready to go. And the reason it was, I always thought, because they were a mature team and they could handle that. Like, hey, they'll get the business done off the field that they need to get done so that they are the freshest and the fastest on Sunday, even though you're not getting the conditioning and the cardio and the practice during the week. And that team was able to do it. Last night with the Tennessee Titans, 2 weeks, very early in the season, before that team really even knows what they are this year, out of the building. 2 weeks of not being able to be in a strength or a weight room that is an NFL weight room. 2 weeks of them having to stay conditioned. 2 weeks of them having to watch film by themselves without having somebody hover over top of them telling them to watch film. 2 weeks of all that. And they come out and just from beginning to end beat the shit out of the Buffalo Bills. I mean, just absolutely beat the shit out of the... Now, Josh Allen didn't have his greatest game. The first pick everybody saw was off guy's hands. Malcolm Butler, who I don't think has had an interception since the Super Bowl.
Nope.
He takes one last night, makes a great move, almost goes there. Then he has another one because of an overthrow in a drive that they had to make. But I guess Dan Orlovsky told me that play was a zigzag situation. It wasn't on Josh Allen.
Right. I'm sure you've been backtracking on all your Josh Allen talk today?
Whoa.
What the hell?
No, I refuse to buy into the fact that just because Josh Allen had one bad Tuesday night, which, by the way, has only happened 2 times in like 70 years, and they got just beat down by a team that hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. I refuse to let that skew my image of how great Josh Allen has played these first few weeks of the season, and I think he'll get back on that horse against Kansas City Chiefs. And in warm-ups, I think there's a chance that they have a throw-off in Josh Allen. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen gets his swag back because he can throw the ball. Guess what? Pat Mahomes said 83, 84 yards. That's what I think.
Shit.
What are you saying? You're off on Josh Allen now all of a sudden? What an asshole you are.
Jeez.
No, I'm definitely not off of Josh Allen. I'm upset at myself. I didn't see this coming. Like, the Tennessee Titans are one of the freshest teams in all of the NFL right now, and we thought that was a negative and not a positive heading into this game. I think a lot of people did.
A lot of players around the league are questioning whether or not these 10-hour, 11-hour, 12-hour days that are just the norm in NFL facilities. A lot of people who are both coaching and playing in the NFL, after watching what the Titans did without 2 weeks of preparation time in the facility, a lot of people are saying, is this entire system schedule completely fucking wrong? A lot of people are asking that question now, and I think we can add you and me to that list, because the fastest, freshest team that seemed to be able to go through so many film operations with the Zoom and somehow maintain their shape and their conditioning and their fitness throughout this whole thing, they came out and dominated the Bills, who look like the team. If you were to say to somebody who knew nothing about football and nothing about the situation we're in, and they were to watch last night's game and say, one of these teams wasn't able to practice for 2 weeks, one of these teams was, which one would it? Everybody would have said the Buffalo Bills were the team that didn't practice for 2 weeks. Balls getting tipped, interceptions, this, that. It just looked like the Titans never skipped a step, and that dude with that stiff arm is going to be a problem, I think, for a while, because they know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. It's run the damn rock all the time.
Yeah, it's run the rock, and also Tannehill plays like the perfect role in what he does. He doesn't make mistakes. He throws touchdowns. He doesn't throw interceptions. They don't turn the ball over. I mean, Buffalo turned the ball they turned it over 3 times. Tennessee 0. That's all you need to know.
Well, Tannehill also, and we alluded to this earlier and on Twitter, he almost broke his leg in half during that finger roll celebration.
Mm-hmm. I noticed right away. I got scared for him.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that was uncomfortable. That was awkward. That looked painful. And then as I was watching him jog off, they zoomed in on his face, and he was smiling and giggling. I'm like, oh, he's not even feeling that right there. I wonder if he feels that today. That was definitely uncomfortable. But that team last night, just dominant. And I don't think anybody could have expected it other than maybe me and Connor.
Yeah,
I think maybe me and Connor.
Only me and you had them.
And then everybody turned me at least to bet on the Bills. But
yikes.
I think a big problem with everybody is they're going to overreact to that. I think the Bills are still a good team. They just had a terrible night. And sometimes that happens, especially if it's Tuesday night. Jay Feely's on the call. Here we go.
Yeah, hey, here we go. You're right, Jay Feely. That was interesting. Was he originally on the call, like when it wasn't Tuesday? Is that why they did this?
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Jay Feely representing for the brand, he has for a long time. I think a lot of things he has said I don't necessarily agree with or love, but I didn't think he did that terrible, by the way. I think a lot of people on the internet were potentially questioning how he was going to do as being kicker in there. And me, as a person who has punted balls for a living, I could say this. Jay Feely, I don't know how he operated in his day-to-days at the NFL. I know how me and Vinatieri operated. I was front row seat to a lot of football, like practice, meetings, offense, defense. I feel like I actually... now, granted, whenever Mike Lombardi speaks, I feel like I learn things. When Aaron starts talking about body catchers and things like that, there are certain things that people at different positions have experience and know a lot more about. But I think having a front row seat to an NFL operation day in and day out, literally, and that's what a kicker and punter is, you can pick up a lot of knowledge of, obviously, the game and the way things run. So kickers and punters don't always get a chance to be in the booth there. Whenever it was Jay Feely, only guy in the booth, I was both excited and a little bit worried that he's going to potentially fucking ruin it for all of us. I don't think he did that bad, but it was very interesting that Charles Davis, who is the CBS's new number 2, did not get that gig. He was a friend of the show. I wonder if there's any conversations inside CBS. Like, did nobody want to do it? Or was it like, let's give Jay Feely a shot here?
I'm sure they all wanted to do it. It's a CBS primetime game, which they don't have. Like, you don't ever have a game like that, do you? Tony gets the number 1 CBS games, which could be, well, no, they're, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, how come Tony and Jim didn't do it?
Yeah, and they had the Pats-Chiefs game that was early last Monday.
They should have done both. Maybe Jim didn't want to do both.
Oh, you think Jim Nance is like, hey, I can't get any swings in on this fucking hole in my backyard. You have me going out on Tuesdays.
Don't you think they could have said, hey, Romo and Nance both? Yeah, we'll definitely do it. You got to pay us for the extra game.
They are. Tony's getting $18 million a year.
He's getting paid to do that.
Yeah, he's going to want an extra mil though to do that game.
Well, give it to him then.
Really?
That's
what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're paying him that much already, then just sneeze out another $1 million and let's get a good game here.
See, some people would say the complete opposite. Hey, we're already paying you that much. Yeah. You should go do this. But we don't know how the inner workings of CBS operate.
This wasn't even rumored, Pat. This wasn't even rumored. I'm just saying they could swing their power like that if they wanted.